Horrifying train wreck in Taiwan leaves at least 22 dead. Beijing's top official to Macau dies after falling off a building. And hundreds of thousands partake in anti-Brexit rally in London. Good evening. At least 22 people were killed and 170 others injured after a train derailed and flipped over in Taiwan. Here's Christy Lung with our top story.
At least 5 out of the 8 carriages were knocked off the track. Soldiers were rushed to the scene for the rescue work. Rescuers had to break into the enclosed trains through the windows to reach trapped passengers. The tragedy happened at around 5 p.m. when the Puyuma Express train went off track near the Yilan County. A passenger admitted the train had been so shaky before it arrived in Yilan County. He believed the train had reached 129 kilometers per hour, according to tracking on his mobile phone. The train concerned has been in service for 6 years and had undergone repair works last year. Taiwan Railways Administration admitted the accident is the most serious one since the model was introduced from Japan 6 years ago. The administration chief added more time is needed to determine whether the accident is related to speeding. The train can reach its highest speed at 150 kilometers per hour and travels at 120 kilometers per hour on average. By design, it can run at higher speeds on curvy routes, which reduces significantly the traveling time of the East Coast Main Line, which involves more bands. Christy Leung, TVB News.
The director of the central government's liaison office in Macau died after falling off a building last night. With more on that story is Kina Chu.
At around 7 p.m. yesterday, the fire services in Macau received a report about someone falling off Hung On Tower building. The victim, who died on the spot, was later identified as Beijing's top representative to Macau, Zhang Xiaosong. The news came as the State Council's Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office made an announcement on its website. The office said it has arranged representatives to extend their condolences to Zhang's family. According to the statement, Zhang suffered from depression prior to the tragedy, but not all are convinced.
We have many suspicions about his death because during the past at least 7 days, a lot of leaders of Macau has interviewed with him, but all of them think he got some mental disorder, disease at that time. Therefore, when most of them hearing this news, they're very surprised and also suspicious.
Macau lawmaker Angela Liang said she had not noticed any anomaly in Zhang lately. She was stunned by the news and saw Zhang as a competent man who cared for the enclave. Zhang made his last public appearance on Friday meeting members of the Macau United Citizens Association. According to the Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office and the central government's liaison office in Macau, Zhang had attended events daily without an issue over the past half a month. A member of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China, 59-year-old Chang, was from Shijiazhuang in Hebei province. In September 2017, he succeeded Wang Zhimin as the director of the liaison office in Macau. Macau's chief executive Fernando Che offered his deepest sympathies this morning. Kina Chu, TVB News.
The chief executive told Japanese media in an interview that there is no absolute freedom in the world. She made that comment over concerns about the government's handling of a British journalist's work visa. Christy Leung reports.
The chief executive spoke to Japanese media on Friday ahead of her 5-day visit to the country next Monday. She was pressed on the topic of freedom of speech. Lam stressed that freedom of speech and individual liberty are protected by the Basic Law, although such freedoms are not absolute.
I'm saying that worldwide, internationally, there's no absolute freedom per se. There are certain circumstances where freedom will be put under certain restrictions.
The question was related to Victor Mallet, the first vice president of the Foreign Correspondents Club, who was denied a renewal of his work visa last month. Mallet hosted a controversial event at the club in August, featuring Hong Kong National Party convener Andy Chan. Lam stressed the government has always acted in accordance with the law. So far, more than 15,000 people have signed an online petition demanding a clear explanation from the chief executive. Meanwhile, Rita Fan, a former member of the National People's Congress Standing Committee, said it is the government's right not to explain the denial of a visa renewal. She said it is incorrect to say it is a freedom of speech issue whenever a journalist's visa is not renewed. Otherwise, this would mean journalists enjoy a special privilege, she added. Christy Lung, TVB News.
In an interview with TVB News, the education chief said teachers can discuss Hong Kong independence with their students, but they must point out that it's not a realistic option. Caleb Long reports.
The Education Bureau earlier issued a letter to all secondary schools urging them to prevent infiltration by unlawful societies. This came after the outlawing of the Hong Kong National Party. Speaking to TVB News, the education chief described the letter as a normal reminder.
I think it's necessary for us to remind the schools that in their daily operations, there's a few things that they have to be aware of. And also, we take the opportunity to restate our position on Hong Kong independence, which I think is a well-known position. And there's nothing new in that particular section. So I think it's just a normal, very normal reminder.
Yeung said teachers have a duty to explain to students the different views in the society about Hong Kong independence. But teachers should conclude that independence is not a realistic option.
I think the teacher must or has to demonstrate to the students that Hong Kong independence is not legal and does not fit in the Hong Kong environment, both from the historical perspective and also on the practicality of the issue. So I think at the end of the day, the teacher has to make sure that the message has to be delivered.
Yeung also talked about the future of liberal studies, a core component of the Diploma of Secondary Education examination. There were reports of possible changes ahead, such as the subject may no longer be compulsory for all students. Yeung said a public consultation on the issue will be held in the middle of next year at the earliest. Caleb Leung, TVB News.
Turning overseas, the United States is reportedly considering a new operation to send warships through the Taiwan Strait.